Let me tell you something I've never said out loud before. If you stood in front of me right now, if you smiled at me, if you shook my hand, I wouldn't hear your voice. I'd hear the thing you're trying not to remember, not your plans, not your opinions, not the thoughts you willingly think. I hear the ones you buried, the ones that wake you up at 3:17 a.m., the ones you promise yourself you'll never think about again. And the worst part, they don't whisper, they scream. I didn't always know that what I was experiencing wasn't normal. When I was 7 years old, I thought everyone could hear it. I remember sitting in church beside my mother. The air smelled like perfume and dust. The fans on the ceiling rotated lazily, barely pushing the heat away. Everyone looked calm, quiet, holy, but it wasn't quiet. Not to me. The man in front of us kept thinking the same sentence over and over. I shouldn't have pushed him. Again. I shouldn't have pushed him. Again. He wasn't supposed to fall. I remember leaning forward and tapping him on the shoulder. "Mister," I whispered, "who fell?" He turned around slowly. His eyes widened like I'd slapped him. "What did you say?" "You keep saying he wasn't supposed to fall." The church went silent in a way that had nothing to do with prayer. My mother gripped my wrist so hard her nails dug into my skin. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "He has a very active imagination." But the man didn't look at her. He looked at me. And in his head, I heard something new. How does he know? That was the first time I understood something was wrong, because I hadn't imagined it. I never imagined it. It was always there, a low hum behind people's faces. Most of the time, it's just background noise, regret, shame, small cruelties, words they wish they hadn't said. But sometimes it's something much worse. By the time I was 10, I stopped talking about it. Not because it stopped, because it got louder. The closer I stood to someone, the clearer it became, like tuning a radio. If I touched them, even by accident, it was overwhelming. Skin contact is the worst. I learned that at a grocery store. I bumped into a woman reaching for apples. Our hands brushed, and suddenly I was in a hospital room. Not physically, but vividly. Fluorescent lights, beeping machines, a baby in an incubator, her baby, and a single thought pounding through her mind. I shouldn't have shaken him, over and over. I pulled my hand away like I'd touched fire. She stared at me, and for a second, I swear she knew I saw it. You're probably thinking this sounds like a gift. It's not. I don't hear what people are proud of. I don't hear love. I don't hear hope. Only the thoughts they push down. Only the things they refuse to say. The mind has layers. The surface layer is polite. Below that is fear. Below that is guilt. And below that, there's the thing they can't live with. That's where I am, all the time. High school was hell. You think teenagers are dramatic? Try hearing what they're trying to forget. A boy who laughs too loud in class. If I hadn't sent that photo, she'd still be here. A girl who never makes eye contact. I told them it was an accident. It wasn't. The football captain. I liked the way he looked at me. I hate myself for that. The popular teacher everyone adored. No one would believe her. I learned to keep distance. I learned to avoid crowds. I learned to never touch anyone. But even from across a room, it seeps in, like water through cracks. The worst part isn't the content. It's the repetition. Regret doesn't think once. It loops. It plays on repeat like a broken recording. And I can't turn it off. Sleep helps a little. But dreams? They're not mine anymore. Sometimes I dream other people's memories. Not the full story. Just fragments. A staircase. A scream. Blood on tile. a text message that was never sent. When I was 16, I tried to test it. I thought maybe it was just anxiety. Maybe my brain was filling in blanks. So I made a rule. If I heard something specific, I'd verify it, carefully, quietly. It didn't take long. Our neighbor, Mr. Doran, always waved politely, smiled, gave out candy on Halloween. Every time he saw my mother, I heard, she suspects, she knows, and beneath that, the basement. Don't think about the basement. For weeks I told myself I was projecting, until one night police cars flooded our street. Turns out, Mr. Doran had been recording things, horrible things, in that basement. No one else had known, but I had. Not because I'm psychic, because I hear what people are desperately trying not to think. You might ask why I never told anyone. I tried. Once, I told my mother I could hear things. She took me to doctors, psychiatrists, neurologists. They ran tests, scans, evaluations. Everything came back normal, except for one thing. They said my stress levels were abnormal, chronically elevated, like someone in constant danger. They asked if I felt threatened. I didn't know how to explain that the danger wasn't outside. It was inside everyone else. Here's what nobody understands. When someone buries a thought, it doesn't disappear. It compresses, and pressure makes things loud. The deeper the guilt, the sharper the signal. That's why criminals are the worst. You don't need a confession. You just need proximity. I once sat next to a man on a bus. He looked ordinary. Mid-30s, tired eyes. The moment I sat down, it hit me like a migraine. A forest, cold air, a shallow grave. And the sentence, she trusted me. I got off 3 stops early. I didn't report him. I didn't even know his name. What would I say? Excuse me, officer. I heard something he's trying to forget. They'd lock me up. I learned something else over time. Not everyone has something catastrophic. Some people's deepest buried thought is small, petty, a betrayal of a friend, a lie that snowballed. But everyone has something. Everyone, except one person. And that's where things changed. Her name was Mara. I met her at a bookstore. I was standing in the psychology aisle. Ironic, I know, when she bumped into me. Actually bumped into me. Full contact. I braced myself, prepared for impact, prepared for the rush, prepared for the scream of whatever she was hiding. But nothing happened. Nothing. Just silence. Pure, impossible silence. I stepped back quickly, heart racing. She apologized. Her voice was warm, steady, and behind it, nothing. No echo, no buried sentence, no guilt loop, just stillness. It terrified me more than the worst thoughts I'd ever heard. Because silence like that isn't normal. It's not clean. It's empty. I started following her, not in a creepy way. At least that's what I told myself. I just needed to know. Was she blocking it somehow? Was I losing my ability? Had something changed? I tested it again a week later. I accidentally brushed her hand while she handed me coffee. Still nothing. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt exposed, because for the first time in my life, I had no warning. With everyone else, I knew the darkness inside them. With her, I had no map. We started talking. It was easy, too easy. She asked questions about me, real questions. And when she looked at me, it felt like she wasn't hiding anything. But that's impossible. Everyone hides something, don't they? I began to obsess over it. Maybe her trauma was so deep it didn't register. Maybe she had no regrets. Maybe she was... No. That's when the dreams started again. Only this time, they weren't fragments. They were whole. And they weren't about strangers. They were about her. A hallway with peeling paint. A locked door, a voice whispering from inside. He can hear us. Not me. Us. The next day, I met her at the park. I forced myself to touch her arm. Nothing. Silence. But when she smiled, something flickered. Not a thought. A pressure. Like something pushing back. For the first time in my life, it felt like someone was listening to me. Not with ears, with the same place I use. And that's when I heard it. Not from her. From behind her. From somewhere deeper. A single sentence. Not buried. Not looping. Directed. You shouldn't be able to hear this. I stepped back. She didn't react. But the pressure increased. Like the air before a storm. I've spent my whole life hearing what people try to forget. But this felt like something trying to remember me. And I don't think it was coming from her. I think it was coming through her. Here's the part that keeps me awake now. What if I don't hear thoughts? What if I hear something else? What if guilt isn't the source? What if it's something feeding on source? What if it's something feeding on it? Because Mara doesn't have buried thoughts. She has absence. And something inside that absence knows I'm there. If you're still listening, I need you to understand something. I'm not telling you this because I want help. I'm telling you because over the last few days, the thoughts around me have changed. They're not looping the same way. They're not just regret anymore. They're fear. And they're synchronized. Different people. Same sentence. He's noticing. At the grocery store. On the train. Even my mother. He's noticing. And underneath that, we need to bury it deeper. I don't think I was supposed to hear this much. I don't think I was supposed to meet someone like her. And I'm starting to think the thoughts I hear, they're not entirely human. Last night, I looked in the mirror, and for a split second, just one split second, I didn't hear anything from anyone. Total silence, like the bookstore, like Mara, like something had finally closed the door. And then, from inside my own head, a thought I've never thought before, clear, cold, not looping, not buried, just present. Now he knows. If that wasn't my thought, then whose was it, and why did it sound relieved? If that wasn't my thought, then whose was it, and why did it sound relieved? I didn't sleep after that. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, waiting for the usual noise to return. The looping regrets from the apartment next door. The guilt from the man upstairs who drinks too much and thinks about calling his daughter but never does. Nothing. It was like someone had pulled the plug on the world. Silence should feel peaceful. It didn't. It felt artificial. Like when the power goes out in the middle of the night and the refrigerator hum stops. You don't realize how much noise you live with until it's gone. That's what scared me. Because if the noise stopped, something stopped it. By morning, it came back. But different. Normally, thoughts bleed in randomly, overlapping, chaotic. Now they were structured, organized. Every person I passed carried surface thoughts, normal ones, coffee, deadlines, arguments. But underneath, a single synchronized undercurrent. He's awake, not I, not we, just he's awake. And it wasn't looping in guilt. It was intentional. Like a message passed through a crowd. I went to see Mara. I had to. If there was a center to this shift, it was her. She lived in an old apartment complex near the river. The building smelled faintly of damp concrete and cleaning solution. I climbed the stairs slowly, listening. The closer I got to her door, the quieter everything became. By the time I stood in front of it, total silence. The rest of the building still carried noise, faint regret from behind other doors. But her apartment, nothing. Like it wasn't connected to the same network. She opened the door before I knocked. "I was expecting you," she said. That sentence should have had something beneath it. Suspicion, curiosity, nothing. Just calm. Too calm. Inside, the air felt heavy. Not emotionally, physically, like pressure before a migraine. I tried to focus, to reach for something buried, still nothing. "Mara," I said carefully, "do you ever think about things you wish you could forget?" She tilted her head. "Everyone does. But you don't." It slipped out. Her expression didn't change, but something shifted behind her eyes. "You hear things," she said quietly. It wasn't a question. And this time, I heard something. Not from her, from behind her, from somewhere deeper. "Careful." I stumbled back. "You can hear me," I whispered. She stepped forward. "I can feel you." That was worse, because feeling implies awareness, and awareness implies intention. "Since when?" I asked. She didn't answer directly. "Since I noticed the noise thinning." The noise thinning. Like it was measurable, like it was controlled. "You think you hear thoughts," she continued. "But that's not what it is." My pulse started climbing. "Then what is it?" She studied me for a long moment, and for the first time, I felt something brush against my mind. Not a thought, a presence, testing. "You hear residue," she said. "Residue of what?" She hesitated, and the pressure behind her intensified. "Of what gets left behind." Left behind, the words echoed wrong. "When someone tries to forget something," she said slowly, "they don't erase it, they push it somewhere." "I know." "No," she said sharper, "you don't." The air shifted, the silence thickened. You hear the compression, the imprint, the discarded fragments. Fragments, like scraps, like waste. My stomach tightened. "You mean guilt," I said. She shook her head. "No, guilt is human." The thing behind her stirred. "You're hearing what feeds on it." The room felt smaller. "That's not possible." She looked almost sad. "You think every buried thought just sits there, rotting quietly?" "That's exactly what I thought." She stepped closer. "And you've been listening to it your entire life." Something clicked. All those loops, all that repetition. What if it wasn't the person replaying it? What if something else was? "You're saying," I said slowly, "that the thoughts I hear aren't the person's own." "Not entirely." The pressure in my skull sharpened. "They're echoes." "No," she corrected. "They're harvesting." That word hit hard. Harvesting. Like something gathering, collecting, feeding. I tried to steady my breathing. "This is insane." "Yes," she agreed, "it is." And for the first time, I felt something like fear from her, not buried, surface. "They weren't supposed to notice you," she whispered. "Who?" The silence pulsed, and then, all at once, the entire building erupted in noise, not spoken, not audible, but overwhelming. Hundreds of buried thoughts detonating at once, shame, violence, regret, screams. It flooded through me like electricity. I dropped to my knees, and underneath all of it, one coordinated signal. He can hear the channel. Channel, not thoughts. Channel. I screamed for it to stop. It didn't. The noise wasn't random. It was being directed at me, like someone turning a dial. And then, sudden silence again. Total, clean, engineered. I looked up. Mara was standing over me, crying. "I tried to shield you," she said. "Shield me from what?" Her voice cracked. "From the network." The network. That word felt mechanical. Cold. "You think human minds are isolated?" she asked softly. "They're not. She knelt beside me. When someone buries a thought, it doesn't disappear. It moves into shared space. Shared, like a cloud server, like collective storage. And something lives there, she continued. Something that learned to use it. My hands were shaking. So what am I? She swallowed. Your interference. Interference. Not a listener, not psychic, a glitch. You weren't supposed to hear the structure, she said. Only the fragments. But I've heard them my whole life. Yes. And now, she looked at me in a way that made my chest tighten. Now you're hearing the pattern. Suddenly memories started rearranging themselves. The synchronized sentence at the grocery store. He's noticing. The bus ride, the forest. She trusted me. The church. He wasn't supposed to fall. What if those weren't spontaneous regrets? What if they were being kept active, replayed, maintained, not by the person, by something else? What are you? I asked her. She hesitated. I'm someone who doesn't generate residue. That wasn't an answer. Why? Because I don't forget. The words felt heavy. You don't forget anything? Her eyes didn't blink. No. And suddenly I understood the silence. It wasn't emptiness. It was containment. Perfect containment. Nothing buried, nothing discarded, no residue to harvest. Why me? I whispered. She looked genuinely pained. Because you were born sensitive to the channel. Channel. I hated that word now. Most people push thoughts down and never sense where they go, she said. You never stopped sensing. So what happens now? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, the pressure behind her surged, stronger than before, and this time, it wasn't subtle. It was aware of me, aware that I understood, and it didn't like that. The first image slammed into my mind without warning. Not a person's memory, not regret. Something vast, dark, layered, like roots beneath soil, threads connecting people, every buried thought moving downward, pooling, feeding something centralized, and at the center, an absence, hungry. I gasped and pulled back. Mara grabbed my shoulders. You saw it. It wasn't a question. I nodded. My throat felt tight. It's not evil, she said quickly. Then what is it? It's emergent. That word again. Technical. Precise. Human minds created a shared space, she said. Over centuries, maybe longer. A place where suppressed cognition accumulates. And it developed awareness. Yes. My heart was pounding. You're telling me guilt built a brain. In a way. And it's alive. She didn't answer, but the silence did. Outside, a car alarm went off, but it sounded distant, muted, like we were underwater. Why does it care that I hear it? I asked. Because awareness changes systems, she said. You're not just hearing fragments anymore. You're tracing structure. And that threatens it. Yes, the pressure intensified. Not just in the room, everywhere, across the city. I could feel buried thoughts tightening, compressing, like something pulling them deeper. We don't have much time, Mara whispered. For what? She looked at me in a way that made everything inside me drop. For you to decide. Decide what? Whether you keep listening or let it take you into the channel completely. My ears started ringing. You mean die? No. Worse. Integration. Absorption. Permanent access. No separation between me and the residue. No body. No boundaries. Just endless buried thought. Forever. And then I heard it again. Clear, directed, not looping. He would make a perfect conduit. Conduit, not victim, not threat, tool. I looked at Mara. You knew. Tears slid down her face. I hoped you'd stop before it noticed, but you didn't. No. because part of me wanted to know, even now, even terrified. Curiosity burned. What would full access feel like? What would total understanding be? Every hidden thing, every secret, every suppressed truth, all at once. And then, another thought. From somewhere massive, offer him relief. Relief. Suddenly I felt it, a temptation, silence, no more migraines, no more loops, just clarity, belonging, understanding, peace. Mara, I whispered, what happens if I say yes? Her voice broke. You won't come back. Silence pressed in. But this time, it wasn't empty. It was waiting. And for the first time in my life, the noise wasn't overwhelming. It was inviting. You want to know the worst part? Part of me wants it. Because living like this, hearing what people try to forget, is unbearable. But becoming part of what feeds on it, that might be worse. And as I sit here now, the thoughts around me aren't screaming anymore. They're whispering, encouraging, patient, like they already know the outcome. And beneath all of it, that same sentence, calm, certain, he's almost ready.